I have been playing Monster Hunter games since the first game, which I played in 2006. I fell in love with how difficult the game was, especially as a kid that don't know how to play a mechanically dense game that requires preparation, bringing the right weapons and items, and continuously upgrading your gear. But just because it was difficult, I was very determined to actually beat the game until I started to use cheat in PS2. Since then, I have played almost all of the mainline Monster Hunter games and have a better understanding of the game as I grow older. Because in other platforms, I don't think you can cheat. I bought a PSP just to play Monster Hunter games. My best friend bought me a Nintendo 3DS so we could play Monster Hunter games together. So I have been playing Monster Hunter as I grew up from just a boy all the way into adulthood. But I remember playing this one particular Monster Hunter game that left such a big impression on me, and I still consider it as one of the best Monster Hunter games and one of my personal favorites. I'm talking about Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. This game introduced so many mechanics and systems that becomes a staple and even a foundation for the future of Monster Hunter games like Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise. So for this video, I'm going to talk briefly about these systems and why I think Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is something very special. It is fine not to agree with me, but do tell me about your opinion in the comment section so we can learn something new together about our beloved franchise. Before we start, I am KKaceh, a gamer that likes to discuss about video games, especially on topics that people usually don't talk much about in video form, and facilitate a discussion so that we as a gamer can learn something new and build a gaming community that can discern what makes a game good or bad. If you like this kind of video discussion, do leave a like and subscribe to my channel so you can be notified when the next discussion video is up. And at the same time, you help me to have a better life. Enough yapping from me, let's just get into the video. The first thing what makes this game to be very special is the introduction of jump and mount. I still remember how phenomenal these two mechanics were for Monster Hunter game. For a long time, Monster Hunter games were very grounded. Even if there's a difference in height, we just fall straight down. But all of a sudden, we get a new tool that allows us to deal an attack as we change our elevation. If I want to give a quick comparison to other games, it would be like a Demon's Souls that didn't have any plunging attack to Dark Souls 1 that actually introduced plunging attack. This small change makes the game to be played quite differently. You can attack while retreating, or if you have the higher ground, you can start the combat with a jumping attack as well. And what makes it better is that it is also tied to the mounting system, which I will talk a bit later. Jumping attack then evolved even further in the Monster Hunter world by introducing sliding attack by taking advantage of the slopes. It is sometimes a nice way to start a fight, but what's most important is that it is really fun to do. With such a small change, it makes the game played so differently. This kind of interaction might not be appreciated much by common players, but when you think deeply about it, it really opens up a different playstyle to those who make use of the terrain to their advantage. It makes the game to be a bit less monotone with constant grounded combat. On top of jumping attack, mounting is such a good mechanics as well, as now we have a way to topple a monster that allows you to go all out for a short period of time, should you succeed with the mounting, that is. Back in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, the image of us clinging to a monster's back and then repeatedly stabbing them until they are toppled is very satisfying to do. And it actually can be quite challenging if you don't pay attention on the monster's actions, and if you have poor stamina. This basic of spamming attacks would evolve even further in Monster Hunter World. That involves moving around the monster's body while trying to topple them and prevent yourself from being knocked off from their body. I still remember the first time I did it in Monster Hunter World. Mounting is such a very exciting thing to do, especially when you manage to topple the monsters with the finishing move. And mounting was evolved once again in Monster Hunter Rise into wyvern riding, though whether it should be permanent mechanic in the future games, it needs to be questioned, and I have talked about it in my 2 discussion videos. So do check those 2 videos to get more information about it. Mounting is not a core gameplay mechanic, and it is entirely optional whether you want to trigger them or not. but it does give the mix more fun and enjoyable with all the spectacles that we are seeing as we perform the mount. So basically, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate introduced a very essential gameplay mechanics that is not necessarily groundbreaking, but it makes Monster Hunter games to be more engaging, less monotonous, pleasing to see, and makes it easier for modern gamers to understand the fun of Monster Hunter game. So what else makes Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate to be very special? First, this game has a very large number of monsters for its time. This game has whopping 98 monsters with 75 large monsters. It was a lot of fun fighting different monsters, and the game doesn't get as old fast because of it. As you guys have known, having many monsters to fight is actually very important in Monster Hunter games, so we don't get bored too easily. And of course, having lots of options for your gears. And speaking of monsters, this game is also the mark of Monster Hunter that it is more than just about dragons. The introductions to new species. This game has many new monster species, which makes the whole hunt very refreshing, since we have been fighting too many dragons, wyverns, and beasts. Leviathans are fun, but since underwater combats were removed, they're less fun to fight, honestly. So to be exact, we had 4 new species, which are the following. Number 1 is Snake Wyvern. Sadly, the Snake Wyvern that is currently in the game is only Najarola, along with its subspecies Tidal Najarola. Fighting Snake Wyvern is actually very interesting because they cover such a large area, so you need to be mindful of your positioning on which body parts you want to attack, and also make sure that they don't surround you, and makes it very difficult for you to escape their attack range. Honestly, I really want to fight more snakes like Wyvern because snake in real life always terrifies me, and it feels nice to be able to deal with a snake in the game. I was very disappointed when we didn't get any new Snake Wyvern since Najarola was introduced. It has been 10 years since Monster Hunter 4 was released, so it is about time we actually get more Snake Wyvern enemies. 10 years and only 1 monster so far. Come on, Capcom devs, you can do better, I'm sure. The second species would be the Neopterons. It is not exactly a new species per se, but this particular species lacking on large monsters department. For so long we only had Vespoid Queen as the large monster, and she's kinda dull to fight. So they added Celtas and Celtas Queen along with its subspecies. This is also the first time that the mainland series introduced a duo fight, at which a monster becomes a part of another monster. And it would be great if we can see more of that in future Monster Hunter games. There's still countless species of real-life insects that could be taken as an inspiration, so I'm really looking forward to see what the developers are going to show us. The last Neopteron monsters that we had was Ahatalka from Monster Hunter Generation Ultimate. That monster is amazing, and I really want to see more of them. And the next species is the Amphibians. A species that I didn't expect I would really like. It started with Tetsukabra and Zamtrios, which both are amazing monsters. Their big 4 legs are quite intimidating compared to smaller dragon's feet. They are big, but also most of their attacks are quite fast. They do provide different kinds of hunting experience when compared to other monsters, that's for sure. If we are trying to get a real amphibians as a reference, there are still many that we can draw inspiration from, like maybe a cross design between a frog and a reptile like crocodile, or maybe an amphibian that is combined with snake wyvern that has a long neck. So, Keizu amphibians? That might be a bit too creepy. But yeah, this particular species really needs more monsters, since almost all of the monsters in this species category are quite bizarre. And the last species is the Temelkarans. This species was introduced with the appearance of Nerscylla into the game in Monster Hunter 4. What's really great about this species, their movement can be quite unpredictable. Those who have played Monster Hunter Rise knows how annoying fighting Ragnakadaki is, since some of their attacks are so weird. And Nerscylla was quite similar in that regard. Having other deadly real-life animals like the spiders is a great addition into the game, honestly. There's so many real-life spider species out there, but I think it will be interesting to see some tarantula-like enemies in the future. A spider that is more straightforward with their aggressiveness instead of utilizing tricks like Narcilla or Ragnakadaki. So basically, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate really went wild with their monster design and introducing such amazing species. As you guys have heard, at the moment, all of the 4 species are very scarce in the modern Monster Hunter games, and many interesting ideas could still be explored when designing new monsters for these species. So I'm really looking forward to see if the developers are going to show us more of these species when Monster Hunter Wilds is released. Just want to mention, previously they might have some technical issues animating these guys with the modern game design, but hopefully any technical issue is resolved by this point, so we get the most immersive Monster Hunter game ever made when Monster Hunter Wilds come. Other than banger species, Monster Hunter 4 also introduced 2 new weapons. The addition of Insect Glaive was huge since it really opens up an aerial combat instead of an all-time grounded combat with other weapons. I really think that this weapon really influenced how Monster Hunter Rise combat was designed, since other weapons' capabilities when it comes to aerial combat is very limited, if not non-existent. Now I believe that all weapons should have some kind of aerial combat capability, but not as free as Monster Hunter Rise, of course. As for the other new weapon, the Charge Blade, it is one of the most, if not the most technical weapon that exists in the game that allows for a very strong offensive and defensive capabilities. But I think the main importance of Charge Blade is, in the future, if the developers decide on some new weapons, it will be centered around transforming weapons and mechanically dense weapons. The next system that becomes a staple for Monster Hunter going forward is the Expedition. This is also the first time you're allowed to go on a hunt without any time limit, although it is limited only on specific map, but at least the concept is present, which I think this becomes the base of future Expedition in Monster Hunter World, at which you're allowed to freely roam without worrying about time limit, which I personally really love because I like to collect all of the wildlife in Monster Hunter Wilds. Additionally, the idea of guiding lands might have stemmed from this as well, since that specific map in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate is pretty much a grinding lens as well in order to get some relic weapons. And the last system that becomes staple for Monster Hunter as a franchise is the endgame loop, this is the first system that I think has some kind of gameplay loop implemented on it. For this case, you hunt Frenzy and Apex monsters for endgame materials for your upgrades. It was not a perfect endgame back in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, but for each new game, the developers keep refining the endgame experience. And so far, Monster Hunter Rise has the best endgame grind. It is not perfect, but it is still pretty nice to do compared to the older games. And it's still fun, especially if you're grinding with friends or online. I don't think Monster Hunter would have the same amount of playing value if not for this endgame loop experimentation that they did back in Monster Hunter 4. Well, that's all I'm to say about Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. I have talked about all of the features that was introduced in this game. As you guys can see, how influential this game is in shaping the modern Monster Hunter games. Some people also said that Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate also has an interesting story, but I was too young and had limited English to understand any of it back then. So I would assume it influences Monster Hunter World's storytelling as well. Hopefully we finally have a good story in Monster Hunter Wilds though. Hopefully I will have the chance to play Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate again one day since I lost access to my 3DS. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you heard, once again, do subscribe to my channel. As of now, I always make Monster Hunter discussion video at least once a week, every Monday, Elden Ring Fashion Hunter series every Tuesday, a Genshin or Star Rail video every Wednesday, and if I can get a short video done, I will upload it on every other day as well. Otherwise, I'll be working on a longer discussion video, since the script can take a long time to write. So, what makes Monster Hunter 4 special for you? Let me know about it in the comment section. Also, if there's something that I missed that you think that other people should know, do let everyone know in the comment section as well. Until the next video, stay sharp, hunters.